Ever wonder why you can spend 40 hours a week slaving away at a job only to look at your bank account and feel like someone robbed you in broad daylight? You put in the sweat, you flipped the burgers, you took the heat from the manager, and then ding, the notification hits. Your paycheck says $2,000, but your balance says $1,400. It's the ultimate buzzkill, and it's your first introduction to the invisible forces that run your life. We call it civilization, but in reality, it's a complex game of numbers that most people are losing simply because they don't know the rules. Taxes are the membership fee for living in a functioning society, but the way they're collected feels more like a riddle designed to make you fail. You pay income tax on the money you earn, sales tax on the money you spend, and if you're lucky enough to make money while you sleep, the government hits you with capital gains tax too. They use that cash to pave the roads you drive on, fund the schools you went to, and ensure that the taco truck on the corner isn't serving up health hazards. But the craziest part? The government knows exactly how much you owe, yet they make you guess every April. And if you guess wrong, they don't just correct you, they penalize you. It's a high-stakes game of financial heads-up, and if you don't understand the board, you're just a pawn. Before we get into the secret life of your bank account, which is far wilder than you think, I want to see who's in the room today. Drop a comment below with your city or country, and if you're ready to stop being a victim of the system, hit that like button and subscribe, because the next thing I'm going to tell you will change how you look at every dollar in your pocket. You probably think of your bank as a high-tech fortress, a place where your money sits in a velvet-lined vault guarded by high-definition cameras and maybe a dragon. In reality, the moment you hand that cashier your $1,000, it's already out the back door. Banks aren't safes, they're matchmakers. Through a system called Fractional Reserve Banking, they only keep a tiny slice of your deposit on hand, usually around 10%, and they lend the rest to someone else who wants to buy a house, a car, or a jet ski. They are literally betting on the fact that we won't all show up at the same time to ask for our money back. This system works perfectly until the day it doesn't, like back in 2008 when the dragon ran out of gold and the entire world watched the vaults fly open to reveal they were empty. Banks make their billions by charging the borrower a high interest rate and giving you a tiny microscopic fraction of a percent in return. You're providing the fuel, but they're the ones driving the Ferrari. They entice you with the convenience of debit cards and the safety of FDIC insurance, which in the US guarantees your cash up to $250,000. But make no mistake, your money is a nomad. It never stays in one place for long, and it's always working for someone. The only question is, are they paying you for the privilege, or are you paying them? If money had a landlord, his name would be interest, and he never misses a day of rent. Interest is simply the cost of using someone else's money, or the reward for letting someone use yours. There are two versions of this story, the hero and the villain. Simple interest is a flat fee, a thanks for playing moment. But compound interest, that's where the magic or the nightmare happens. Compound interest means your interest earns interest, which then earns more interest, creating a snowball effect that can either build you a mountain of wealth or bury you in a hole so deep you'll never see the sun. Imagine you're carrying a balance on a credit card at 20% interest. That $12 burrito you bought on a whim can eventually turn into a $50 anchor around your neck if you only pay the minimums. On the flip side, if you invest that same money at a steady 7%, your dollars start cloning themselves while you're at the beach. 100 becomes 200, then 400, then 800, until one day you wake up and your money is doing more work than you are. Interest is the silent engine of the financial world. It's either your best unpaid employee or your worst enemy, depending entirely on which side of the check you're signing. But even if you manage to kill your debt, there's a silent thief in the night that steals the value of the cash under your mattress without ever touching a single bill. Inflation is why a bag of chips today is half full of air and costs double what it did 5 years ago. It's the slow, steady erosion of your purchasing power, where your $5 bill still says $5 on the front, but it only buys $3 worth of groceries. This happens because when there's too much money chasing too few goods, prices skyrocket. If 1,000 people want the same TV but the store only has 10, the price isn't staying at $500, it's going to the highest bidder. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we all think prices are going up, we spend now, which actually causes them to go up faster. A little inflation, around 2%, is the sign of a healthy, growing economy, but when it spikes, your savings start to rot. To fight this, the government raises interest rates, making it more expensive to borrow money, which effectively cools off the party by taking the cash out of your hands. It's a brutal balancing act where the goal is to keep the economy from overheating, but sometimes the cool down goes too far and the music stops entirely. When the spending stops and the layoffs start, we enter a dark phase that can last for months, a period where the entire party of the economy suffers a massive hangover. A recession is what happens when the economy takes a 6-month nosedive, and suddenly those big plans for a summer vacation turn into a how to survive on ramen strategy. It's a period of fear where companies cut costs, jobs vanish into thin air, and everyone stops buying things they don't absolutely need. Recessions can be triggered by anything from a global pandemic to a war halfway across the globe, or simply the natural bust that follows a massive boom. It's the economy's way of hitting the reset button, but that reset button is usually covered in the scars of lost homes and empty bank accounts. While a recession is a nightmare for the country, it's also a time when the wealthy go shopping because everything, from stocks to real estate, is on sale. Eventually, the lights flicker back on, interest rates drop, and people start buying overpriced coffee again. But the people who survived the best are the ones who had a high trust score with the system. That score is a 3-digit number that follows you from your first credit card to your deathbed, and it's the only thing that stands between you and a life of high-interest misery. It's called a credit score, and even if you have $1 million in cash, if this number is low, the system will treat you like a ghost. Your credit score is a shadowy algorithm that measures how much the banks trust you to pay them back. It ranges from 300 to 850, and if you're below 600, you are a walking red flag in the eyes of a lender. They look at your payment history, how much of your available credit you're using, and how long you've been in the game. You could be the most honest person on earth, but if you've never borrowed money, your score might be trash because the system has no data on your reliability. It's a game where you have to prove you don't need money in order for people to be willing to give you money. Think of your credit score like a pet. If you ignore it, it'll ruin your furniture and poop all over your financial future. But if you train it, it will eventually help you buy a house or start a business at the lowest possible cost. Most people think being debt-free is the goal, but in the modern world, being trustworthy to a bank is actually more powerful. If you understand the rules of the score, you can rig the game in your favor, using the bank's money to build your life while everyone else is stuck paying risk premiums. Because at the end of the day, the money we're all chasing isn't even real. It's just a collective hallucination we've all agreed to participate in. Currency is a social construct, a shared belief that a green piece of paper or a digital number on a screen is worth a certain amount of bread or gas. There is no physical difference between a dollar bill and a scrap of paper other than the fact that the government says it's legal tender and we all believe them. Money is just a tool we invented to make trading easier, so we didn't have to carry around cows and sacks of grain to buy a new shirt. But because it's built on trust, that trust can be broken if the government prints too much of it, turning your life savings into monopoly money. This is why saving money is actually a losing strategy in the long run. It's like holding a block of ice in the sun. To survive, you have to turn that currency into something that actually grows, which brings us to the world of investing. Investing is when your money stops being a consumer and starts being an employee. Instead of trading your time for money, you're trading your money for more money by buying tiny slices of companies, loaning cash to governments, or owning physical property. The goal isn't to get lucky. The goal is to be patient and let the magic of compound growth do the heavy lifting over 30 years. The real danger in life isn't the risk of the stock market going down. It's the risk of never starting and watching your future get quietly stolen by the rising cost of living. Wealthy people aren't just lucky. They understand the concept of value. Value is the reason a shiny yellow rock is worth more than a gray one, and why an iPhone costs $1,000 even though it's just glass and metal. If you can provide massive value to the world like Steve Jobs did, the world will happily throw mountains of money at you. Whether you're a doctor saving lives or a luxury brand selling a feeling, your income will always be a reflection of the value people perceive you are providing. But there is one asset that even the richest man on earth cannot buy more of, and that is time. Time is the ultimate currency, and it's the one thing you have right now that can make you a millionaire if you use it correctly. You trade your time for a paycheck, but the smartest people use that paycheck to buy back their time through investments. Wealth isn't about having a big house, it's about having the freedom to choose how you spend your hours. A small amount of money invested consistently, given enough time, becomes an unstoppable force that can change your family's future forever. If you're ready to stop trading your life for a paycheck and start making the system work for you, I've got a full breakdown on how to start your first investment portfolio with just $100. Would you like me to walk you through that process step by step?